Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Careful for Spoilers. I am your host James Barnes, and today guys I'm joined once again by Lowland Brad as we talk about 2018's Robin Hood. The film had a production budget of $100 million and only made $84 million worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah, and of course that doesn't include marketing of any kind. It's a box office bomb. It made $9 million opening weekend. $9 million. Like, it's just to show you how boring and generic this movie is that just no one went to see it.
I knew from the previews that I was never going to see it. Of course, because I'm friends with you two assholes, I had to watch it. I had to go to figure out how to red box, and I had to get the movie, I had to bring it to my house, I had to watch. I hate you guys so much.
Yeah, this was a rough go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I didn't see it in theaters because the trailers looks like the movie sucked.
And you don't hate yourself, so there's that.
That I didn't waste one of my A-list points to do this. And I saw it when it was streaming one day. I was like, you know what? I'm in the mood to watch a not-so-great movie. Let's see what's going to happen. And I can't say I was bored to tears. I will say something positive about this movie. I think it actually has good pacing. I think the movie is paced very well. It's just done with things that I don't care about.
Yeah, the editing in the movie is actually very terrible.
Yeah, that I actually have a note in my phone that says something about the editing. I don't even remember where
it's
it
like
is.
Major
editing problems, super overlong.
Yeah, I think the biggest chunk of editing problems too is in Operation Arrow Desert Storm in the very beginning of the film, which I'm sure we'll get to. But it was I just cannot, you guys. I don't understand how this film happened.
I mean, someone was like, we want to redo Robin Hood. Oliver Queen is doing really well on Arrow on the CW. People like Hawkeye. We have the rights to Robin Hood. Why not? Let's make a movie. People like Archers, right?
It's definitely a why not movie, for sure.
It's absolutely a why not film. I mean, the director has basically done nothing before this film.
I mean, and the stuff that he's done is good. Like, he did an episode of Black Mirror. He did episodes of Peaky Blinders. Like, he's done some good stuff. But do you know
exactly which episodes he did?
I know he did.
To be able to comment that they were good episodes?
Every episode of Black Mirror is really good.
He done one in 2014, which was before Netflix owned it, on the BBC.
It was the very first episode, the one with the pig.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, if your boy has 6 credits, don't give him this film.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hand $1,000 to an idiot. They handed $100 million to some dude who probably was like, oh, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do with all. You know what I'll do? I'll buy velvet for everybody to wear.
This is a studio film. This is what happens when the studio goes out, picks a director just to do what they need them to do, which is a very generic movie to make some money back. And because it was so lazy, it's why it didn't make any money.
It's so lazy, though.
It is so lazy. So generic.
And it pulls from, like, so many other things that are popular. And that's, to me, that was the most annoying thing about the movie, was it didn't, not a single moment of it felt like they were actually doing something original.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every single scene was basically pulled from another film that's done well. Mm-hmm. Like, the costumes were an ode to this, and the plotline was an ode to that, and the way that the sheriff's house looks like a shogun palace was an ode. I was furious the whole movie, and I don't have a lot of emotion left over at the end of most weeks, you guys. I'm tired. I just hate you guys for picking this movie.
Now, I will say another thing that's positive, because when I get into this movie, I'm just going to be talking about things that I really don't enjoy. But another thing that I actually kind of enjoy the score. But like we were talking about before the podcast, the score is kind of a ripoff of, or an homage to Hans Zimmer. I feel like there's so many pieces of this score that sound like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, as well as Man of Steel. And listeners, if you're hearing this, go back and watch this movie again. Well, don't watch it again. Listen to the soundtrack.
What's the matter with you?
There are some pieces that sound like Hans Zimmer's score, and I actually enjoyed it.
People are going to walk away from this and be like, Careful for Spoilers told me to watch this movie again, and they're never going to listen again.
But that's the positive things that I have to say so far.
I love your spirit.
Yeah, I'm trying to be objective. I'm trying to look at this movie and be like, you know what? That wasn't so terrible. It's just boring.
That's really nice of you. That's a double rainbow moment right there.
Thank you. I tried.
This movie was just like if I shit in a dumpster and then I set the dumpster on fire. It was like a shitty dumpster fire. Literal shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you.
I was so mad at you guys all night.
All right, so let's just get into it. Like, so the movie begins, and we get this narration by Friar Tuck. One of many narrations that just come out of nowhere.
But you don't know it's Friar Tuck. It's just some not great British accent telling you what's going on.
True. Yeah, you don't know it's Friar Tuck until later on in the film.
First note in my phone. This narration sucks.
First note in my phone. Oh, God, I hate this.
He's like, this story begins with a thief. Just not the one you know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God.
And it also has this, like, comic book opening where it's
It does.
drawn... Oh, God, it's terrible.
Because comic book movies are in right now.
Right, because that's one thing that it stole was like almost the Marvel logo when it starts and it's drawn comic book pages kind of flipping really fast across the screen. They did that at the beginning of this movie and then jumped to some ninja thief. Like, that's when I knew I hated the film. That's where the note happened. Because...
Yeah, so Marion comes in and she wants to steal a horse. She's doing something noble. She is a vigilante herself.
Oh,
it's
like a fun thing that they do with her there.
Her neighbor, their horse died. If they don't have a horse, they can't plow their lands and they'll starve to death. She's a hero.
Yeah, she is a hero in the film. That's one good thing about the movie is Marion is actually a hero. She don't do much with it. But she looks great in her midriffs and her red velvet and her wildly inappropriate costumes.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have anything to do. The script says that she's a hero, but she doesn't really do many things that are heroic. Like, we'll get to it, but later on in the film, she's fighting these soldiers, and they kind of just fall down around her. She doesn't really
that scene
do
was so
anything.
confusing. I thought she farted. I didn't know.
And then with that Wario attack.
And I love when, like, she's in the stable and Robin Hood comes over and he looks like your basic, like he's got a boat that he's trying to get on, you know, like your basic douchey white guy. He just was wearing like an Old Navy t-shirt.
Pretty much.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just talk about the costumes right now.
The costumes are everything that I wrote down about how much I hate this goddamn movie.
Like, the costumes are so modern, though. It looks like modern, like, I can't even say cosplay, because cosplayers would have the respect to try to make it look like it's of the time.
I read that the specific instruction given to the costumers was to make it 1/3 historical. They failed. 1/3 present day. They did okay. And 1/3 futuristic. They failed. Everything looked like it came from Hot Topic. Everything looked like it came from Hot Topic. And then towards the end of the movie, Marion's outfits were like on sale ModCloth, Anthropology ripoff. Like, I cannot stand this film.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess they instantly just fall in love. They
like instantly fall in love. And he's like, you're crazy beautiful. And all I can see is her eyes, which are covered in eyeliner, like crazy eyeliner. Like, this chick is a goth chick. They do her eyeliner so bad she consistently looks like she got beat up, and she falls back in love with him. It's just craziness. The first opening scene, I thought, I'm gonna leave now, but I had to stay.
And like you said, the editing is weird, because the next scene is immediately a montage of them being in love.
And then spinning around and kissing a lot. Yeah. That's really what it is.
Like,
there's a lot of spinning and kissing.
It's like a 9-year-old boy's version of what a romantic date with his girlfriend would look like.
Which I feel like that's who they were marketing this movie towards.
Which is like, horrifying.
Let's make a movie for like 10-year-olds who this is the first PG-13 movie their parents let them watch because there's no naughty words in it. And, like,
there are no naughty words in it. It is good. Like, you could let a kid watch this. You shouldn't.
No, I feel like it would be more detrimental to let them watch this than watch, like, The Thing.
It's like, this is what love is. Spinning around while music plays with narration
and it was
of your love.
And while this is happening, they've got, I don't even remember if it was the sheriff or who was writing out the draft enlistment?
Yeah, it's the sheriff.
They did not call it being drafted in Robin Hood's time. That shit, I actually have draft notice and then 8 question marks behind it. Like, nobody showed up at the Lord's house in the 15th century and handed them a draft notice written in, like, you know, century Gothic font. It just didn't happen. They couldn't even, like, the screenwriter didn't even know the word conscription. Like, this is ridiculous. I cannot with this film.
That's not his job. His job is to take the script that he was given and do the best job that you can do.
Someone wrote the initial script, James.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like, someone wrote that, and no one thought, I'm going to fix just this small piece and make it go a little better. For some reason, them handing out draft notices pissed me off so hard.
I mean, it is pretty ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Like, oh, you got to come in, though. We got to make sure you're not flat-footed, because you can't go to war if you're flat-footed.
Can't have none of those skinny Steve Rogers Crusaders out there.
Yeah, so then after he gets the draft notice, the screen goes black, and then we get the 4 years later, right? And they're out in...
Is that... Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they get to, that's where they get to Arabia, and then we start to see, this is the first look at Commander Gisborne. I thought he was fine. He's kind of generic
right.
and boring,
Yeah,
but I think the guy playing him is interesting.
Yeah, he was okay.
Yeah, he was okay. It was all right.
Yeah, and
I didn't actively hate him.
I didn't actively notice him.
Yeah, so I kind of liked that sequence. They were pinned down. Again, it's you're gonna hear me say this a lot. This movie is very, very generic. They're pinned down, and you have this guy with this arrow launcher, and he's just throwing these arrows.
It's an automatic arrow launcher.
Yes, it is.
Which was my favorite part. Was just the steampunk technology that they try to put in the film.
It's called innovation.
Was so stupid. They did it better in the Wild Wild West with Will Smith.
They did.
I was waiting for that big ass idiotic spider from the end of Wild Wild West to come in and make this movie better. Because that was straight up like Operation Desert Storm, down to the costumes.
They should have leaned more into that. If they had leaned into like, okay, we're going to do this kind of like steampunk kind of what if version of Robin Hood, but they only kind of toyed with that a little bit. Like they're okay, we'll just change a couple of the details instead of coming up with something new and original.
Yeah. Literally the only steampunk element to it was the automatic weaponry that existed all over the 15th century. I got stuck in that scene. I had like an emotional breakdown over the way they made their Crusader uniforms look like Iraqi soldier uniforms, American Iraqi soldier uniforms, down to the like desert camo colors of them. Oh my God, you guys, no.
Yeah, tonally this movie has a lot of issues. It wants to be this huge dramatic movie. It wants to be really fun and upbeat. And it also wants to show you the horrors of war and what that can do to someone mentally, the things that happen, genocide and stuff like that, like what happens on the battlefield. It wants to do so many things, and it's just not working, man.
It's like if you woke up and looked at your list of things to do that one day and tried to knock out walking your dog, taking a shower, painting your toenails, and doing your taxes at the same time. That's not how life works, you guys.
It's not at all.
That's why there's so many goddamn montages in this movie.
This movie is like king of the montages, but they don't even really put any music over them, so you're just kind of like, this is a very boring montage. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the montages are super boring. It feels like a bunch of events happening in the same scene, but it doesn't really feel like there's a lot going on.
It's weird. It's a weird experience.
Yeah, so this is the first time we get to see that Rob is a badass.
I cannot. No. They kept being like, can I call you Rob? No, you can't call him Rob. His name is Robin.
His name is Rob. He wants to be called Rob.
Well, and then that's when he's wearing all those douchey collarless suits that were super cool in 1998. Why is he wearing that shit? He looked like Russell Crowe from Virtuosity 90% of this film. So sorry. Get back to Desert Storm.
Yeah, but Rob, this is how we get to see how much of a badass he is. He's able to maneuver and walk around all of these soldiers, and he gets the drop on the guy that has the arrow launcher, and he kills him. Right? So the Arabian soldiers are closing in on them, and I believe they kidnap one of their soldiers, right? And then they hang him by one of his feet, and of course Rob, who is our hero, tries to save him, but Gisborne is like, it's obviously a trap, like, we have to let him go, and all of this stuff. And I don't know, man, it's just, this movie wants to be so much that it's just not is kind of annoying.
I actually was actively watching the film at this point. I had not emotionally checked out for my own safety yet, and I didn't catch that Gisborne had even told him this is a trap. Like Rob, Jesus, says something to somebody like, I can hear him, he's still alive, and I thought he meant the arrow slinger guy.
No,
I didn't realize he meant his own person. And when we see that guy hanging upside down, for a split second I was like, I didn't even know if that was a crusader or not.
Really?
Because he's just in like a dirty white dress at that point. Like, it was so random. I mean, I figured it out. I will say that the Operation Medieval War scene had some pretty cool arrow stuff in it.
For sure.
But it was all stuff I felt like I had seen in from Hawkeye in an Avengers film. Like, there are a couple of moments in the film where it is straight up a ripoff of Hawkeye. Like, at one point, he jumps off of something and turns around and shoots.
It looks cool.
100% something I've seen before, and therefore not cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think you can say that about almost every scene in this film. It's something that I've seen before, just not as good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So the commander signals to have the guys start throwing like the huge boulders, and they start killing everyone, and they get back to base camp after they pretty much rounded up all of these Arabian soldiers, and they're torturing them, they're cutting off their heads, all of this kind of stuff. And again, this is where the film tries to show you the horrors of war, the things that happens behind enemy lines that no one else sees.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, Rob is our hero. We see him empathizing for these people that he was sent out here to kill. You know what I mean? And then we get to well, I completely skipped over the Rob and Little John fight.
right. And I guess we're just going to say right now, this is Little John.
Yeah.
You might have thought it was, if you're a big fan of the Robin Hood that stars Kevin Costner, that he was going to be Aziz, but he's not. He's Little John.
Yeah.
Which is actually the only historic piece of Robin Hood that they got right in the film. It's because Aziz doesn't exist in the original Robin Hood's plot. You know, neither do automatic weaponry with metal arrows, though. But they tried something.
They tell you in the beginning, forget what you think you know. This is a different story.
I forgot to be alive during this film. I forgot a lot of stuff.
And again, I think Jamie Foxx is actually trying in this movie. Like, I feel like he's actively trying to give a good performance. He's just in an uneventful movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, too, like, the guy playing Robin...
Taron Egerton
is charming and has done some good stuff, and he's got the Elton John movie Rocket Man coming out, and he's getting rave reviews, so he is a good actor, and he does try a few things in the film. They're not successful, but he's there trying. Everybody's trying so hard in the movie that I felt bad for them.
Yeah.
I think Jamie Foxx is incapable of really like having a terrible day at work.
Have you seen The Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Oh my god.
No, I have not.
That is his performance in that movie is god awful.
Then I take back what I said.
It is
Screw you,
god-awful.
Jamie Foxx. No, you're a good man. You're not. Be nice to Katie Holmes.
See, I didn't think that Taron Egerton had any charm in this movie.
Really?
Oh, no. He didn't have any charm. He tried a couple of things, but it didn't work.
Because he's so unbelievably charming in the Kingsman movies.
Yes.
And he has just this magnetic energy about him, and I did not see any of that in this movie at all.
He is the kind of guy that you know not to give your phone number to as you're giving your phone number to him. Like, he is a charming little bastard. And there's just nothing in this film that makes you go like, oh, okay, hey, you look great. And he comes across like, I want to say the word is doughy, but I don't mean that in a fat sense. I mean that in like a very
mentally
inequipped, like a mentally doughy, physically doughy, spiritually doughy kind of sense. Like he's like clay. He really needs to
bland.
be molded, and
Yeah.
Have you ever been almost out of food in your kitchen, but you've got white bread and mayonnaise and some pickles?
No.
And you eat that?
I've never made that exact combo, but I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Me neither. I
was like, that's a weird combo.
That's the whitest thing that you could eat. And that is Taron in this film. He is the whitest white sandwich you could ever make. And he's not a bad actor, so that was shocking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's just bad writing. I mean, there's only so much an actor could do.
I wonder if it's like bad writing plus bad direction, because...
For sure.
It really felt like you know, like the Clone Wars. Like, everybody knows Natalie Portman can act. Everybody knows Ewan McGregor can act. You wouldn't if you've only seen those Clone War movies. Yeah. I'm calling them the Clone War movies. Jesus, I need a nap. The Star Wars prequel movies.
Well, you saw Robin Hood, so it's okay.
I just couldn't sleep after it. I was considering not talking to you guys ever again.
Yeah, but John is pleading for his son's life, and of course Gisborne doesn't care because he's our generic bad guy 64, and he cuts off his son's head.
Wait, but right before he cuts off his son's head, Robin of Locksley runs in to rescue the boy.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, meaningful.
Because he's a hero.
Yeah, it's a really meaningful
He has come along
moment
to save us.
He, like, tries to save the boy, doesn't. Kid gets his head cut off. That was crazy. I was not ready. And then he uses his... I think is it the only time in the movie he uses a sword?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we'll talk about that at some point. Like, there are things that would be so much easier to do with a sword that they refuse to let him do because they think him being an arrow master is so much cooler. But he actually uses his sword to chop through the chains that are holding John and the rest of his army.
Yeah.
And it made me laugh because I love the Kevin Costner Robin Hood movie. I think it's like, I love it.
I like it.
Nate and I watched it like a month ago. I love it. And when he meets Morgan Freeman's character in the film, which is what I thought Jamie Foxx was playing, he literally can only save Morgan Freeman's character because he's tied up with rope, and the rest of the guys are like chained, and swords can't cut through chains. And so it just made me laugh. I was like, oh yeah, this is something different. Robin of Locksley can cut through chains in this one. He's a real man of the people.
Yeah, so of course
we need to circle back around to your surprise. You do at why I like the Kevin Costner Robin Hood movie.
We can talk about that
featuring the greatest soundtrack of any movie that came out in the
Brian
90s.
Adams,
oh my god.
1010
will dance at my wedding to that song. If I get there after making this man watch this movie last night.
I'm sorry I'm making you do this, but it's only going to get worse.
So we did the worst of Nick Cage for our best one, worst one podcast this week. So he had to watch all of those movies and then tap it off with Robin Hood. And, it's possible he's moved out while I'm doing this.
So, of course, all of the soldiers try to stop Rob and restrain him from letting out all of the prisoners. And Gisborne shoots him with an arrow in the stomach, pulls out the arrow, and he passes out. Right? And then we cut to the ship. Well, John escapes. We don't see where he goes. And then we find out in the very next scene that he's on the ship that's going back to England that Rob is on while he's dreaming about Marion.
In a midriff. Because that's what ladies wore.
Oh, yeah.
And also, the dream sequence is him giving her the key to his house. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, defining the relationship and stuff right before you go to war. Like, that's not a commitment issue if I've ever seen one. Like, you can move in now that I don't live there anymore. God, it's bad.
Tell me you wait for me. Please wait for me. And I'm like, she's not going to wait for me.
Well, and also I have a lot of problems with how the hell he got home. Like, he would be arrested and tried for turning against the other soldiers in the crusade, and killing his own men and trying to save the prisoners.
I don't feel like they made it look that way. I think because he's a lord, he kind of has this ability to just kind of get away with that stuff. Because
well, then why, when he got home, does he find out the sheriff told everybody he's dead? Nobody cares that he's a lord.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. No one gives a shit.
It literally goes from him trying to stage a coup in the army. Which, I know it's the Crusades, but it's also the army because it looks like the army. Yeah. And then, he's just home and free, and there's no, I don't know what you would call it in the 15th century. Court-martial?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they use those words. That was a very random, they were like, okay, get him home. We got to get him home because all the action takes place in Nottingham.
Yeah. And the thing is, we find out that John has been in the ship for 3 months. What did he eat for 3 months?
Yes, oh my God.
Because he was in the very bottom of the ship. What did he eat for 3 months?
I said, that's stalkery, guys. That man is a straight up stalker.
He doesn't look skinnier. He looks exactly the same.
No, because Jamie Foxx is built in this film.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be if you didn't eat anything for 3 months.
You would not be. That's like stage 5 clinger. He follows him home to England in the hull of a ship, follows him around the town before even telling him he's there. Like, that dude's scary.
But Rob finds a horse. He rides as fast as he can to get back to the manor, sees that it's completely pretty much destroyed. Right? And we find out later on that the sheriff pretty much seized the house to fund the war.
But how does a house fund the war?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you sell everything inside of it, and that's the money that he was using to send to the Arabian generals.
You think he would have kept the house in good shape and, like, let people live there? I mean, maybe Airbnb it if you've got to make some money.
I don't think the people in the mines can afford to spend a night in the Loxley Manor.
They kept referencing the mines in the film. I legit thought that there was, like, diamond mines outside of the town that they were working in until they actually showed that godforsaken shanty town at some point. Like, what? I just,
So what are they mining?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Them the mines?
They never tell you, like, what they're mining in this town.
I don't think they're mining anything. I think they just are like, mines are shitty, so let's call these shanty towns mines. Like, I think
do they just live in the mines? Like,
I think
is that
so.
how it works?
Like, they live in this area of town that's so gross, they call it the mines. That's offensive to miners.
Yeah.
ERs, not ORs. Again, though, if you steal someone's house, keep it up.
Why?
Because,
I mean, that would cost money.
But, like, why? How is this house even making him any money?
Well, no, he already made the money by stealing everything inside of it, everything that it was worth. You know, he already got what he needed.
Okay,
so
that makes sense. Because I was literally like, this
there's
makes
no one
sense.
upkeeping the house for. I mean, where was Marion?
I guess he doesn't have, like, a blind servant.
Well, yeah, they threw Marion out of the house.
She got to go live in the mines.
Yeah, with
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys thought you were going to get through this without me
we'll get to that.
50 Shades of Grey.
At first, later on in the film, one of my notes was Rob sees Marion with Christian Grey, and then I was like, that's mean. Because he's actually a good actor.
Yeah, but he also
like,
said
mean.
yes to multiple 50 Shades of Grey movies, so he can be made fun of.
It made him money, and a lot of people know his name.
A lot of people know Christian Grey, I think. I don't think a lot of people know that his name is Jamie Dornan. But he is hot.
Which sounds... Jamie Dornan sounds such like a Game of Thrones name to me. Like a character in Game of Thrones would be named Jamie Dornan.
Interesting.
It's like a mix of, like, Lannister and the Dornish prince.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Rob gets on his horse. He goes to the church to where he meets up with good old Friar Tuck.
Okay, my note is, why is this priest in a beanie?
Because
the priest
it's cool
is wearing
like
a legit beanie.
So this is comedian Tim Minchin that's playing Friar Tuck.
Well, that's shocking because this character is not funny.
Exactly. It's exactly. I said Friar Tuck isn't funny at all, and I think he's supposed to be since he's played by a comedian.
Oh, he's definitely supposed to be funny, but it does not work.
I wish I could remember any of his lines so I could try to figure out if they were at all funny or not. He was wearing a beanie.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like he needed a bird scooter so that he could get from one end of Nottingham to the other.
Yeah, so Rob finds out that the sheriff pretty much reported him dead 2 years prior. And he asks Tuck for Marion, and he goes to the mines to try to find her, and then that's when he sees
old
her.
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Can I also mention, too, they have Rob wearing that basic guy outfit of hoodie under leather jacket.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell me that a hoodie under a leather jacket is 1/3 historically accurate, 1/3 present day, and 1/3 futuristic? Like,
Apparently.
How long have men been like, I don't know what to wear today, I'm going to put this hoodie under my leather jacket?
It's cold. Okay.
Oh, God. It was the worst. I don't understand what their direction for the outfits in this film even were, because none of them match each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, whatever they're wearing is never... It doesn't ever match the other characters in the scene, except for the cardinal dance party from the middle of the Capitol a la Hunger Games.
So this is again a moment where the film tries to get you to feel the dread of these people living in these mines. I think pretty much the first thing we see when Rob gets there is this family holding a very small coffin that obviously there's a child in there. We see people starving, they're dying in the streets, and the score wants you to believe that this is terrible. Everything you're seeing is terrible. The sheriff is the bad guy. and we should hate him, right? The film is trying to do so much, but actually give me more, show me more of these things that you're trying to tell me in these small scenes. You know what I mean? Like, the scenes that follow should match the tone of what you're setting, and it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, they try to blend humor with the dramatic elements, and it just doesn't work.
I didn't even know that there was humor. Like, I didn't even know that they were trying.
I could see that there were beats that they were taking, like, after certain lines that they were pausing for laughs. I felt like, and I'm like, well, oh, that was supposed to be funny.
It's like,
okay,
this is a movie that needed an audience applause sign at the top left corner of it. There was also no character development on Robin, like, at all. So,
other than he gets better at shooting arrows,
right? Like, by the time he gets to the mines, and it's not that far into the movie, maybe like 25 minutes or so,
something like that. Yeah.
By the time he gets to the mines, which again are not mines, it is a shanty town, and he sees all of this, and he has what is supposed to be an emotional reaction to it. It's not in line with his character. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, you never get introduced to him as a spoiled lord. You never get introduced to him as a guy who's now switched from not caring about the plight of people to caring about the plight of people. Like, even later in the film, after he thinks John has been killed, he says, I can't do this anymore without John. This was all his thing. Like, he doesn't even want to do this.
See, that's another issue that I have, because that scene was only written so that Marion can have something to do by motivating him into continuing to fight.
And he's like, you're my only motivation to do this. I did this to get you back. And it's like,
Rachel.
He could have just come home and said, hey, girl, what's up? I'm alive. She'd have left 50 Shades of Grey for him. He doesn't even talk to her. And then he tells her, you're my motivation for this whole thing. Okay, A, pressure.
Yeah.
And B, no. No, I'm not.
I don't know, man. Watching this film, it hurts. You know, it hurts to watch this.
Physically.
It's like, I'm trying to find the entertaining elements, but I don't feel like I should have to force myself to like something.
Right.
You know
It shouldn't be painful.
Yeah. And so he sees Marion and Will kissing, and I mean, I would be really pissed at Marion.
It's a very passionate kiss.
According to them, he's only been reported dead for 2 years.
That's a long ass time to not get kissed on the mouth.
She didn't. How long did she mourn before she moved on to Will? I think it matters.
This is the same guy who didn't think it was weird that Captain America made out with old Hot Pants McGee and pissed off. You know what I mean? Like, that's a double standard.
I don't think it is.
She had 2 years, dude.
I mean,
2 years is a pretty long
time. Like, nobody goes 2 years if they don't have to.
I guess.
And also, like, they don't explain it in the movie or do anything with Jamie Dornan's character in the film, but he is leading, essentially, a resistance of the people in a very political way against the sheriff. And he would speak to all of her morals and all of her ideals. Like, he makes sense for her in many ways more than Robin. Like, I can definitely...
You mean Rob?
Oh, yeah, I mean
His
Rob.
name is Rob.
I mean Rob, you know what I mean? He's got 2 ATVs and a couple of big rigs. I hate that shit so much, but I mean, like, they actually have great chemistry. I don't remember the name of the girl who plays Marion. It doesn't really matter. But she and Jamie Dornan have really good chemistry. And when he kisses her in that scene, like, it's hot. Like, you feel it. Like, it's a good kiss. Like, she doesn't have any of that chemistry with Taron
Edgerton.
Yeah, I'm not
they
remember
they
these,
really
the
don't.
names are getting out of control. I don't have.
I don't think she has chemistry with any of them. I don't think that she's a good actress.
Oh no, I don't
agree.
think she's a good actress. But I think it would be hard not to have chemistry with Jamie Dornan. I've seen him in so many things, and he has chemistry with every person he's in a scene with. Like
Before you got here, we were talking about The Fall. Have you seen the series
with Gillian
The Fall?
Anderson?
Yeah.
He's amazing in that.
He is
and
amazing.
he plays a legitimately psychotic serial killer of women. And I still thought, like, he was charming.
Yeah. Very Bundy-esque.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
He's really good. And 2 years is a long time. I don't know. You know, it didn't even occur to me that she shouldn't have moved on. I actually got mad at one point because Rob tells her, you didn't even wait for me. And I was like, dude, you were dead.
Yeah, she thought you were dead,
Like,
bro.
Dead, bro. And it's also the 15th century. Like, she's got to get married. Somebody's got to protect her before she winds up in The Handmaid's Tale.
That's true.
Yeah. So we cut to the next scene, which is a very villain-esque intro to the Sheriff of Nottingham. He's in the dark. He's brushing his hair.
With two brushes at the same time.
With two brushes.
He's got a lot of dexterity.
He pulls on his gray leather coat, and it happens all in slow-mo as he walks to the ledge.
So much random slow-mo in this movie,
so much random slow-mo.
Like,
did they shoot it on an iPhone?
Someone just forgot that which settings they were on the video record.
They're like, well, we've already spent $100 million, so we cannot reshoot that scene. I did not like that outfit that they put him in. Obviously, I had a big problem with the costumes. I'm not going to stop talking about my problem with the costumes. I don't care if it gets boring.
The costume looks like it came out of Star Wars, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and he had just... I just watched Rogue One very recently because I love Rogue One, and he's in that movie, and it looked almost exactly like his villainous costume in that film. He's too pale of a man to pull off gray, but also the building that he's in, like they try to make him seem very feudal, like a feudal lord in like a old Japanese film, and they even build out his whole little area. It was just so jarring that all of a sudden we were in a completely different feel. It just didn't piece together with the rest of the movie. And again, that becomes a very specific theme of the film. Like every other shot is pulled from something else.
Yeah, pretty much. And like something else I skipped over was when John tries to tell Rob that he chose him to be the one to fight against these people who have thrown people into war over greed and money. And I feel like this is actually my favorite scene from Jamie Foxx in the whole movie, because he talks about being born into this war, and in this war he lost his hand, he lost his son, he's lost everything to a war that he didn't even want, again, that he was born into, for these people that just want money and greed and power. So I mean, I really, really like that scene. And then when they roll up to the sheriff and he's talking to the people and he's trying to rally them and telling them that the Arabian savages are going to come to their lands, burn down their houses and all of this crap, and then he drops the bomb like a terrible pastor passing around the collection plate. But we need your money to fund this war so that we can protect you. Yeah. I'm like, oh, you are such a douchebag. And this is what Ben Mendelsohn does really well. He plays corporate douchebag really well. And it's unfortunate that he's always typecast to be that kind of guy.
He is a great leader of the Skrulls in Captain Marvel.
Great.
He's great in that film.
So good in Captain Marvel.
Like, this is a movie full of people who have given amazing performances. I don't know about Marion. I've never seen her in anything else.
Yeah,
I can't comment on her.
I don't think I've seen her in anything else either.
But I did like, her speaking up, and that's kind of your first introduction to Will, which is 50 Shades of Grey, speaking up against it. And you can kind of understand, like, okay, like, she's with him because they want to do a revolt. Yeah. Like, there's obviously a revolt coming. It's it's like on a billboard flashing behind the screen. Like, these are the people leading the revolt.
Pretty much. So the sheriff pretty much calls his tax bill to order, right? And then Tuck says, well, you can't go forward without the Loxley vote. And then that's when he tells everyone that Rob is alive, and you get that look at Marion, and it's like, a good actress would be able to sell that moment. It's like, man, this man that I really truly loved is still alive, and I just don't feel like she sells it.
No,
she's
I don't even remember the scene.
Very wooden. You know what I mean? It's like the score wants us to feel that she's feeling, like she misses him, but I don't see it. You know what I mean?
Also, that's a weird scene, because then the sheriff asks Tuck, who said he was back? And Tuck's like, oh, that's protected by the privacy of confession. And the sheriff's like, so you did it? And Tuck's like, oh, no, I did. No. It's like, why can't Tuck just say, yeah, I met him this morning. We had 2 coffees. It was great.
Because they wanted to try to do something funny. I think that scene was supposed to be funny.
It was supposed to be funny.
I think it was.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
That makes me angry all over again.
I think it was supposed to be that kind of like cringe, like, oh, I just fucked up type of humor.
But like, how did he even fuck up? You can say when you saw somebody.
I don't know.
I can go home tonight and say, I saw Brad today. And it is all right.
I'm not presumed dead, though. As far as I know.
Good point. That's a solid point. I like, too, that Will doesn't react at all, too, to hearing that Loxley is still alive. Like, he must know that that's his current girl's old man. You know what I mean?
He clearly knows later on in the movie. I highly doubt that she waited until this point to tell him. I'm sure he knew the entire time.
He looks like he's getting a phone call, and he can feel his back pocket vibrating, and he wants to answer it.
But he can't because he's in the middle of a meeting.
That's the look he gives, though. Like, it's supposed to be this huge information drop, and it's just not.
Yeah. So this next scene is where I have issues with the sound design, right? So this scene is John and Rob in an alley talking about their plan, what they're going to do to start hitting the sheriff where it hurts, the money, right? And my issue with the sound design is that they sound like they're in this enormous room. Their voices are echoing off of the buildings. No one heard them?
Oh, I didn't even notice
Even
that.
if they're whispering, like, you can still hear their voices echoing off the buildings. Mm-hmm. This is a reoccurring thing throughout the entire film. There's two people off to the side who are just having a very quiet conversation with each other, but the sound design makes it feel like their voices are literally echoing and bouncing off all the walls. It's like, why can people not hear their plans?
Yeah, this is not how you tell secrets.
Yeah,
You cannot
it's
tell
just
secrets
a technical...
in an alley unless it's like a crack deal.
It's just a technical issue I have with the film. Like, the sound design doesn't make sense
Was
throughout
this
this
also
movie.
the scene in which John tells him that he's going to be Lord Loxley by day and a thief by night?
That's when they get back to Loxley Manor, which is the exact next scene. Yeah.
Do you know what my problem with that scene was? I think we can all say it at the same time. Mm-hmm. Is this when we all realized that this movie was medieval Batman?
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Movie is Batman. And I'm going to spend the rest of the time on this podcast making fun of the costumes and the fact that this movie is Batman.
Yeah.
I refuse to
really
discuss the quotation mark plot anymore from this point forward in the scene because it is not... It's just crazy. I'm watching this movie. I'm trying to figure out where they're going. And then I went, oh my God, this is Batman? Jamie Foxx is Alfred? He's also Ra's al Ghul?
Yep.
This is weird, but okay. Maybe they're going to do something super cool with it. They don't. They just rehash Batman.
Yep.
Yeah, they expect you to think because you've seen it before that now it's cool. It's like, ooh, we get Batman, but with a completely different character in a different universe. He gets to be the billionaire playboy during the day, and then he steals money from the rich and gives it to the poor at night.
It's crazy how exactly it mirrors Batman.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Speaking of stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, when exactly does that happen in this movie?
He literally rides through the mines one time, throwing money at them. Listen, I don't know if he knows a lot of poor people, but I'll get in a straight-up fight over $1 on the street. You are inciting violence, sir.
Yeah. That they completely... Which, okay, so we're over a half hour into the movie, and nobody's stolen shit.
No,
and this is
it's
Robin Hood. Like, that's what pissed me off in the very beginning of the movie.
Even when they get to stealing, sometimes he doesn't actually even steal anything.
Yeah, because he does something and the plan goes to hell, and he just dips out.
I think he only steals stuff like 2 or 3 times in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You are a thief. You are the worst thief
He's
I've ever
supposed to be,
encountered.
anyway.
You are the hungriest thief on these streets. He needs a little monkey to help him. We need that's the only thief movie they didn't rip off. It's Aladdin. He needs a little, boo. I would have probably liked this movie better if there was a small monkey in it.
So, of course, he has to play the billionaire during the day so that he can get close to the sheriff, get close to the cardinal, find out what their real plan is for the money, find out all of these things behind the scenes, right?
And how smart of Jamie Foxx's character to, having grown up in a different country, to know, without any idea of what England looks like, to know that it is the sheriff of Nottingham and his direct cardinal who are funding the war effort.
Yeah, I mean...
Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he's Ra's al Ghul.
couldn't tell.
Anybody who knows England's topography knows that Nottingham is the center of all things.
Clearly, you weren't paying attention.
Duh.
So, you mentioned that no stealing happens just yet. That's because we have to get a training montage.
We gotta get a montage.
Gotta have a montage.
This scene is CrossFit training mixed with SWAT training.
I actually like the training montage.
Really? I've written down, this is so cheesy.
I wrote down,
But it's cheesy in the best way,
this
though.
CrossFit montage plus SWAT training is when I need a bathroom break.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is about archers, because I mean, I'm a huge Oliver Queen fan, and I also love Hawkeye, and this is the closest we're gonna get to a movie right now that doesn't have Hawkeye in it. So I thought it was interesting to see John teach him all of these different things, holding 4 arrows in his hands, him training to get his arms stronger so that he can throw arrows even harder. Like, I thought the training montage was cheesy in the best way. I thought it was interesting to show you what Robin is going to do when he actually gets to steal something. Takes a while to get there, but when he does start stealing stuff, it's really cool.
It's an aggressively long training sequence.
Yeah.
And I did not feel like Jamie Foxx did a very good job as his mentor.
It's funny you use the word aggressively, because my next note is, this movie is aggressively lame.
I also kind of laugh the whole time, because it's like his house has been demolished, all of his stuff has been stolen, but yet he's using like essentially paintings of his relatives as his targets. He's target practicing on his grandpa.
Yeah.
Like, that's rude.
And the thing about this training
Where is
montage...
his family? Where is his father?
These are good questions that I don't care about.
Is he an orphan?
Yeah.
Like, you just don't care at all about old Rob.
I guess, I don't know. That is a good
never
question.
mention
Where
it.
is his parents? Are they just dead? And
Were they there when he was twirling Marion around before he got his draft letter? Like, I didn't see him.
I don't know.
God, I hate this movie.
But the thing that I noticed about the training montage is that it's so much like the training montage in Batman Begins, where Bruce Wayne and Ra's al Ghul are fighting on the ice, and Ra's al Ghul is talking to him, trying to antagonize him to do a better job at pretty much of what he's doing. Like, it just felt so reminiscent of Batman.
Yeah,
It's
Batman.
ridiculous.
When Jamie Foxx is like, I'm going to walk over here and you're going to try to shoot me. And he keeps catching the arrow. And I don't feel like they ever really explained that he got his hand cut off for being a great archer by the British Army until he gets to Britain. Like, they don't show that.
That him getting his arm cut off?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's in the beginning.
Yeah, it's...
I missed it because I blanked out.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's
Gisborne
like
cuts his arm
split
off.
second.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I didn't know he didn't have an arm until, like, the montage scene.
Not like it matters.
It doesn't. No, you are so right.
So John tells Rob that he's ready and that they're going to steal coins from them in order to give that money back to fund the war effort to make the sheriff think that Rob is on their side.
Right.
Good plan. You know, the execution is good as well.
It's not stealing from the rich to give to the poor, though.
Not
it's
just yet.
stealing from the rich to give money back to the rich people.
Yeah, that's just to get in. You know what I mean? So it is a good plan, and I love when he goes to the toll bridge, and these people are being, you know, the soldiers are hurting them. They're taking all of their stuff, whatever coins they have left, their food and stuff. And then Rob comes in the rain, of course, because we have to have a
Dressed like
slow-mo rain sequence.
Sub-Zero. This man looked like Sub-Zero. He was Sub-Zero. My fiance started humming the Street Fighter music that plays in the arcade when you're playing the Street Fighter game. He has a beautiful voice. I was done. I was like, because Jamie Foxx gives him his son's, I don't know what article of clothing it was.
I don't know what to call it.
Wraps it around his face and it's blue, and then the rest of him is just Sub-Zero's black leather outfit. I was like, this is ridiculous. It's akin to Clark Kent's glasses. Like, anyone who saw him would know who he was.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. He's a lord.
And there's all these random, like, zoom-ins from different angles on him, like, walking in the rain, that you're supposed to be like, oh, this is so badass.
Exactly.
But it's not.
It's not at all. It's badass if you are a 9-year-old boy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, we get the heist. That happens. He gets the coins and stuff, and then we get to the church scene, right? Everyone, all of these lords who should have money, they're only giving 1 coin apiece, and then Rob comes in with an entire bag and just dumps it into the collection plate. I actually thought that gave me a chuckle. I thought it was kind of funny because I mean it's so over the top. It's like, oh, everyone's just giving one coin and he just has to be like this super extra guy and just dumps
And like
his entire
everyone
bag of
turns
coin.
around to look and see like who's doing this.
And then all the like citizens of the Capitol from the Hunger Games movies that are there as the citizens of Nottingham, because these are the most aggressively terrible costumes I've ever seen, start cheering for him. Do you remember that? They all start like clapping and cheering. They're like, "Oh my god, good for you!" I was like, "This is weird."
My favorite is the reaction shot of the like I don't know if whatever the head priest is called.
The bald guy.
Yeah, he his eyes like roll back in his head like he's literally having an orgasmic moment at the fact that all of this money is getting poured into the collection plate.
Yeah, because I mean, they know what their plan is, and this is going to help, even though they don't know that it's the money that they technically already stole from. It's crazy, man. So Marion finds Rob, and they have that stupid conversation in the church. And this is another scene with the sound design thing. Like, they're off in a corner. This room is filled with people, but it sounds like an empty, huge cathedral, and their voices are just bouncing off the walls. It's like, how is no one else listening to your conversation? Yeah. This is so stupid.
There's a lot of...
The conversation was also really stupid.
Yeah. There's a lot of...
You said you'd wait for me.
You said you'd wait for me.
I thought you were dead.
Like, you've been dead, boo. 2 years. No one really wants to feel like they're going to die and their loved ones aren't going to move on. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. That's very true.
It's rude to ask someone to wait for you when you're going to war. You should be more specific. If you want them to wait even when you're dead, you have to say that.
Yes, I need you to wait until I'm dead and then I come back to life.
Yeah.
I don't think that's hard.
I need you to... Or like
pretty
lay some
straightforward.
rule down, like, you know, like if you find out I'm dead, you have to give it a cool 7 years before you can date again, or my feelings will be hurt.
I like even numbers.
Haunt you.
So
I will haunt you.
I like even numbers, so 8 years sounds good.
8 years. God, he was... That scene, there's no chemistry between them.
None. They have no chemistry. And I mean, I blame the script and I blame the actress. Like, she doesn't have
Taryn.
what it... I don't know.
I like to
he's
give
so
everybody
charismatic.
equal blame. I think everybody should be blamed for this film.
That's
I think
fair.
there's a couple of horses in this movie that I'm looking at real mean because they did some shit too.
So we get another scene of Rob stealing even more money.
Oh, you skipped right over his meeting with Will Scarlet.
Is that... No, I mean, isn't that... Is that right after that?
I don't know where it occurs in the movie. It might be right after that, but I want to talk about it because it's awful. So you let me know and I can chime in on it because it's the worst shit I've ever
really
seen.
close though, but we're not there just yet. We get another heist scene where Rob uses the arrows to blow out these candles. That looks sick.
Yeah.
That looks so trite.
That was cool.
It was so trite.
Yeah, so he was stealing.
I'm saying trite, by the way, not tight. Trite, as in that has been done so many times before in so many movies.
Yeah, so many different. movies.
I mean, like, does it look cool? Yeah, that's why other directors have used it multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was just the executive producer's thing. It's like, ooh, that was cool in this movie. Let's put it in.
They pull in bullet time at one point, which is 20 years old.
Yeah.
And actually looked better in The Matrix than it looks in this film. But anyways,
So true.
Continue, James.
So he gets all of the money from the church's treasury, and he takes one of those bags and he puts it on Marion's doorstep.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be happy if just like a bag of money just showed up on your doorstep?
Boy, right now in my life, if a bag of money showed up on my doorstep, I would close the door, I would call the police, and I would go to bed because I'm not looking for any more trouble. I got plenty.
I am not looking for a No Country for Old Men situation.
Yes, exactly, sir. I'm not trying to die here for 18 cents in a bag on my doorstep. No, it's nice that he does it, but it's also weird because she doesn't know that he did it. She doesn't know why this money showed up, and she's not concerned about it at all.
I wouldn't be.
She's just like, look, here's money. I'm going to go buy some like French bread and stuff to serve the poor people because it's great. She has a good heart, but
yeah, that's very true.
I feel like there should be a conversation about it.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, it's not important because this script is just so jam-packed with so much crap.
There's so many subplots, like but none of them mean anything. Like
you don't ever,
it's so forgettable.
You don't ever find out what it is that Will Scarlet's even been working for. Mm-hmm. I actually don't even know if his character is Will Scarlet. I think they just call him Will.
Yeah, he's Will Scarlet.
And I think he might even, does he have that name? Is that listed on IMDb?
It is, yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I just assumed, like, oh, he's the Christian Slater character that I had a crush on when I was young. Will Scarlet's always a hottie. Side note.
It's one of the rules of
It's one of the
cinema.
rules of Robin Hood. Like, if you're going to make a Robin Hood movie, Will Scarlet has to be a hottie.
So, in that same sequence in the Treasury, so Friar Tuck is also in there, and Rob kills all of the other soldiers in the room, and Tuck's like, should I wait 10 seconds and then sound the alarm? And then Rob's like, make it 20.
Yeah.
And it should be funny, but it's just like, I don't care. This is lame.
It should be funny. That was one of the few moments in the film where I was like, oh, they are making a joke now. Mm-hmm. I didn't laugh, but I was aware of it.
It's very matter of fact. This is a joke.
Yeah. Then
This was written to be humorous.
they really tried. But we cut to a really quick scene of Marion and Tuck just talking, and Marion's like, I just had this random bag of money on my doorstep, and I really wish he would give it to the people. And this is pretty much where he just goes around just dumping random coins and stuff. Yeah, he was listening to them.
Isn't he perched like a bat above them?
Yes, he is actually.
Listening to everything. He's like a Sub-Zero
watching from
bat.
the shadows.
Yeah.
He's up in his nest.
Because he is also Batman / Hawkeye.
Like Hawkeye, yeah.
Yeah, he's just spying on her, as you do with all of your exes when you're in a good frame of mind. No, don't do that, Brad. I see the look. Don't, Bradley.
So then we cut to the council meeting with the sheriff of Nottingham and all of the lords and everything, and Rob offers his own money to put a bounty on the Hood's head. I think he says like £1,000 a week, and then he's gonna double it every week.
I thought he said a day. £1,000 a day until he shows up caught or dead.
Yeah, it was a day or a week, something like that.
Can I just say that actually the chemistry between the sheriff and Rob is pretty good.
I was going to say that.
I want to see a movie where they have a hate screw. Because they actually brought something to that scene. That was like an actually well done scene between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, he tells everyone to get out, and he has a really good conversation with Rob. Like, I love Ben Mendelsohn's performance in this scene where he tells Rob about, like, the fathers of the current lords and how they used to beat the kids with broomsticks.
Was he talking about the fathers of the lords? I thought he was talking about priests for some reason. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
I mean, they could have been priests.
Yeah, I was having some ice cream.
Yeah, but I really like that scene where he was talking about being beaten to the point where the scars would turn from red to blue to purple and all of this stuff, and then pouring brandy down their throats to numb the pain, if you will. It's a really nice scene. Again, this movie trying to give you these huge dramatic moments that just don't work.
Trying to remind you how much life in medieval times sucked.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Like
medieval time. I mean, but like you don't know why it sucks so bad. They obviously have great machinery. They have automatic crossbows. They have automatic wrist crossbows. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was a well acted scene. It was very intense, but you come away with it really understanding where the sheriff is coming from. Like, why is the sheriff the character that gets the most backstory explained about him in this film?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like you should give a shit about your antagonist.
But you should also give a shit about your hero.
That's true too.
And I don't give a shit about Rob.
What else do you need to know? He's a nice guy. He's in love. He was a soldier. He was in war.
What else do I need
to know? And now
he's
stealing from the rich to give to the people. Who cares about anything else?
8 minutes ago, we didn't know who his dad was, James, or where he was. No, I think they had great chemistry in that scene.
Yeah.
And actually, this is the only scene that I laughed at because after he tells this really horrible story, Rob has some line where he's like, or we could do this instead. And it was just, he did a really funny thing with his face. I don't think it was intended, but I laughed really hard.
Yeah, that's where he was talking about just hanging one of the lords so that everyone else can fall in line. Yeah, so immediately after this is where Will meets Rob for the first time. And Will tries to be the bigger man about it. He's like,
you know what? Nice gentleman.
Thank you for your service.
He's the district attorney. Oh, wait, that's a different movie. I'm so sorry.
It really is like that. He is the Harvey Dent of this movie.
It is very, very, very similar to the actual scene when Harvey Dent meets Bruce Wayne and tries to be friends with him. And Bruce is a little bit nicer than Rob is in this film. Yeah. But he's still very antagonistic and very shitty towards him. This is that scene just lifted and put into, like, whatever this film's whole thing is.
Yeah,
because this is also the scene too where he's wearing the like suit coat with no collar on it, that like Boys to Men wore a lot in 1997.
90s, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about here. And I don't even remember what Will Scarlet's wearing, but it looks like hipster rags. It looks like it's from like a store that's really it's like Free People for dudes. And it's just awful. And I was like, oh my god, like the similarities are stacking up for this to be Batman so heavy at the moment.
Yeah. And Will Scarlet should be a better character in this movie, because in that scene he tells Rob, like, the Hood will eventually be forgotten. He'll be caught or killed or forgotten, and we'll still be here trying to fight for something more. I feel like he is kind of doing it the right way. It is very nice to fantasize about vigilantes, but he's trying to do it in a way that's legal and that is actually for the people.
Yeah, just like Harvey Dent. He's here for the people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
He's the white knight.
Will Scarlet is the white knight of this town. He's the hero they deserve.
It's so reminiscent of Batman. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, like, let's be honest. Arrow, the TV show, they pretty much turned Oliver Queen into Batman.
Didn't he also train with Ra's al Ghul in that movie and fall in love with his daughter Nisa?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, no, I thought that. But that's done well.
Exactly.
You know,
if
like,
it's done well, I don't think people care as much.
And also they were just like, yeah, they come from the same comic book line. It's possible they would have similar backgrounds. Go for it. Go full into it. We can't do a Batman show right now. You get all of that. You don't really ever really understand why they made a Robin Hood movie to mirror Batman completely, other than it's so generic.
Because it worked on the CW.
Do you guys ever eat a cheese and you can't tell if it's cheddar or some other type of cheese and it's got no name on it and it's just at a buffet? This is this movie. This movie is cubed cheese at a party and you don't know, it's just orange and you're like, I guess I'll eat it. No, maybe not the best, and I'll work harder on a different analogy. This movie's terrible, actually.
No, I was trying to process it.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, it's pretty bland.
It's like government cheese. You are correct, yeah.
So the immediate next scene is, because of course he's now inspired by Will, because Will was saying that he's pretty much only stealing from like toll roads, really small stuff. He's not really impacting anything. So Rob talks to John and he's like, I want to go straight for the treasury. I want to go straight for the vault. And John's like, how would you do it? And immediately we get into the heist. We figure out that Rob is hiding right underneath the carriage that is going into the treasury, and one of the guys drops like a coin or something, and he sees Rob.
Bowl.
Yeah,
which
he
no
drops
one
a bowl.
saw coming.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I've seen this before.
It was very new. It's not a plot I've ever seen happen before. I will say the only new thing about this heist is I've never seen a big-ass heist that ends with them stealing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Hey.
And John saying, it just matters they know we did it now. Oh, my God.
Yeah. We got their attention. That's all we wanted.
You know, like, if you break into my house and don't take anything and then leave, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move.
Yeah.
You ain't going to get near me again.
So, I mean, I have some issues with that scene, because as cool as it's supposed to be, like, he does some really cool archery stuff, but they're shooting arrows after him, and he's hiding behind this pillar, right? And when you look to the right of him, there's like 4 guys shooting arrows at him, and none of them hit him.
And he's not covered by anything.
Yeah, he doesn't get cover from those guys until he moves to the other side of the pillar.
Yeah, which then exposes him to the other side of the room where they're shooting at him.
It doesn't make any sense.
And even when they slow it down to bullet time, which is what I call when the frame gets really slow, it's actually I looked it up on the internet, it's the real name, so I was always calling it the right thing, even though I didn't know it. You guys!
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, because I don't do a lot right, so I know that you mean that. It's like... All I could think this whole heist scene was the director has played Assassin's Creed so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has played Assassin's Creed night after night after night. I'm not commenting on the man as a person. It's a great video game. There's one scene where he's like parkouring across a white roof.
Yeah.
And my fiance goes, I played this once in Assassin's Creed, this exact scene.
And then he jumps down onto the carriage.
And then he goes, it was more fun than this movie.
I don't know, man. Again, I'm going to keep saying it.
I'd rather watch the Assassin's Creed movie than this movie.
I don't agree with you.
Tape my eyeballs open, Clockwork Orange style.
I feel like this Robin Hood movie is laughably not good, and Assassin's Creed is just all terrible.
I feel the opposite.
Really?
Like it's funny because, you know, there are some bad movies that you just absolutely love.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about them before. Van Helsing, Batman and Robin, like these really terrible movies that you're not going to turn off because they're so enjoyable. Neither one of Assassin's Creed or Robin Hood are those movies for me, but I feel like Assassin's Creed is closer to achieving that than Robin Hood.
See, I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan, and I never saw the movie because I just could.
You're probably safer like that,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. Just live like that. You know what I'm saying?
Protect yourself.
You don't need to see it. I don't care if you see it, and I'm the only opinion that matters, Brad. So keep doing your life. But yeah, it's very like Assassin's Creed. It's just the rest of the film. A lot of it rolls in an. It's almost like it has, instead of having like a middle, beginning, and end, it has chunks of the film where it's completely modeled after a different movie. And this is the Assassin's Creed chunk.
Yeah, pretty much. So the very next scene is the sheriff talking to one of the priests, talking about the cardinal's arrival. So that's when we find out that John was right. Like, the plan worked. We got their attention. The cardinal's going to come here so that Rob can get an audience with him somehow so that they can figure out what's really going on. And how creepy is this priest?
Oh, so
He's pretty creepy. He might be the best actor in the film.
yeah,
Probably.
F. Murray Abraham's one of those really great character actors that it's hard to find him not being good.
Oh, I forgot that he was the cardinal. I love F. Murray Abraham. I've met him. He came to my performing arts high school when I was young and had dreams.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
talked to us, and he was amazing. And he also does a good job in the film with really terrible lines. My God, did that give that man some crap to say.
Yeah.
But this whole scene, too, between the sheriff and this super creepy priest, they also have Friar Tuck there. A friar would not be involved in this situation. They don't ever give any reason as to why the sheriff has this great kinship with Friar Tuck that he would bring him along.
I mean,
Friar
he's
Tuck,
his eyes and ears, I think.
Is that what it is? Because they
That's
never really
what
explain
I
it.
think. I think that the sheriff only keeps Tuck close because people go to confession and they talk about different things that they've seen and all that stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so he makes him feel better by keeping in his company.
I also think the whole like, and it's a plot point of Robin Hood, but the whole like church as like the huge enemy of the people thing, like, yes, that is a plot point, but the way that they perform it in this movie feels really done 1,000 times before. Like they don't bring any new energy to it whatsoever. And you can probably, if we all sat here in silence for a minute, we could think of a better way to have done this than they did in the movie. You know what I mean? So I was kind of like, ugh, this is stupid. And the friar's still wearing that damn beanie.
Hey, that's his thing, okay?
That's his thing. You know, he's like that one dude that always wears the beanie no matter what, and you can't take him anywhere nice.
So the sheriff puts together his special elite team, and then we find out, obviously, that this team is led by Commander Gisborne.
Who was played so awesomely by, what is his name, Michael Wincott in the original Robin Hood movie.
I think that was his name, yeah.
Yeah, he's so good. He was also the main bad guy in the first Crow film.
Yes.
He's such a good actor. Anyway, this guy's not that dude.
At all.
At all.
Side note: The Crow has one of my favorite henchmen lines ever. Whenever the Crow is approaching one of the henchmen in the alley, he just goes, "Oh, shit on me, shit on me."
That is a really good scene.
That's just, I always associate that with the Crow.
Yeah.
I feel like that line needed to be in this movie somewhere.
Yes.
I actually think I said that line while this movie was happening.
So, Rob and John talk about the Cardinals' welcome party.
This bullshit. Well, this party, you got. This was the stupidest thing in the whole movie. This was terrible.
It feels like ripped out of Moulin Rouge.
It does. It's like, I think you referred to it as Baz Luhrmann's Wet Dream.
Yeah.
That is 100% what it was. It's like the colors are all over the place. The costumes are all over the place. They're playing like weird, made-up roulette-style games. They invite, for no apparent reason, they invite Marion, who's not a lady of a house.
That made sense, though.
It made sense why she needed to be there.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense why she was invited. It didn't make sense why she had a couple of $1,000 dress on.
Well, I
Where
mean,
did she
it
get
made
that shit
sense.
from?
It made sense why she would be there, because Tuck made the argument that he told the sheriff that it would be nice for the people to see that even commoners can make it to these kinds of parties.
It was a very, very not well done plot point, I thought, to just get her in. I did appreciate that they had that subplot of her working with Fire Tuck. I just totally forgot how to speak like a person. This is what this movie has done to me. She was there with Fire Truck, and they was with 50 Shades of Grey, and he was over in the corner. I just completely forgot how to speak. But I liked the fact that she was working with Fire Tuck. Like, for the rest of it, I'm going to say Fire Truck now. But she's, like, keeping it from Will Scarlet, and she's like, he's just such a good man that he wouldn't... I was kind of pissed off in the film that they talk about Will Scarlet as if he is such a nice person and such a moral person, because it was just stupid that they wanted us to get behind. I'm fine with Robin Hood stealing his girl. He was there first. But anyways, the movie's terrible. That was a very expensive dress that she was wearing. It had a mermaid tail on it. I don't know if you guys have ever had to go pick out expensive dresses, but
I'll just say the sheriff just paid for it, maybe, to make the commoners feel good. It's like, oh,
you don't have to defend
one
this
of
movie.
Your people, and we put her in a really nice
so
dress.
That you can defend this film.
I'm trying to be objective.
You don't need to be objective with this hot turd.
So I have an issue with the music in this scene.
Yes.
So the music should be like most period pieces. It should be the music of the time. It should feel like instruments of the time. This is a full-on dance rave. Yeah. There are subwoofers and speakers. They are dancing
and they
to the beat of this music. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. They don't even... I think if you asked the screenwriters of this film or the director of this film or anyone who starred in this film or the horses that showed up on set for this film, when this film is supposed to be set, they would not have an answer. And I get the whole idea. There are a lot of movies that exist in a time period that you can't put your finger on it.
Mm-hmm. It's Star Wars. It's a galaxy far, far away.
And it works. Yeah, because it's a galaxy far, far away. And what the hell do I know about what's happening galaxies far, far away? I do, as a human person, know what year the Crusades happened.
Well, not this movie. It's an alternate reality.
Then say
where
that
his name is Rob and he's super cool.
Tell me you took your pin particles back. This is the story you
don't know.
This is the... I mean... It's just really lazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And again, like we've said it a million times, it's so lazy to expect your audience to just accept that you're going to reference the Crusades, but then have subwoofers at a party. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain level of, you have to give us what we are working with if we give you our money to watch your film.
Yeah.
I gave the Red Box Machine $2, and I'm going to write him a letter, and I'm going to ask for that.
So I'm happy that the sheriff isn't an idiot in this movie, because immediately in this scene he says that he thinks the Hood is a veteran because he's adaptable under fire. Everything that he can do, it makes sense. I feel like in a lesser generic movie, the bad guy would have been oblivious the entire time until the hero inevitably reveals his face. So I'm happy about that. And then Marion...
He is really surprised when it turns out to be Robin, though.
Yeah.
He looks hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because, I mean, he trusted him. You know
this
what I mean?
movie's terrible.
Yeah. And Marion's like, I think... Because Rob is like, who do you think, like, the Hood is? And she's like, I think the Hood is of the people. He's for the people.
That was a good line, I thought, that they gave her, which was nice.
Yeah. Which feels like something stolen just right out of another movie.
Like Batman?
Yeah. Like Batman.
Yeah, no, like the exact argument for Batman that Rachel makes, Too Hard to Take.
It's so dumb.
Oh, God. And then they get into Friar Tuck. I said it. And Rachel, Marion's, sorry. Into their heist. And their heist is pretty smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like, that Rob made it worse.
Yeah, they're there to steal the Death Star plans.
Yes. They are there to steal the Death Star plans.
I don't know. This is just so many parallels to other movies.
What did they know? Why did they even think that there were, like, important documents in his office? Has Friar Tuck seen those being...
Yes. So
that's the only explanation I can think of.
So there is a scene. There is a scene, though. So the scene where the sheriff is talking to the creepy priest... when Tuck tells him that the treasury and everything was robbed again, he tells one of the lords to take the documents and hide them under lock and key. So obviously Tuck realizes that these documents are super important for some reason.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's how they know.
They're his emails.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very important emails.
Can you imagine sticking documents of that much importance on the back of a pigeon and just praying for the best.
Those pigeons are specially trained.
They probably have automatic pigeons in this world, I'll be honest with you guys. Carrier pigeons are cool. I'd rather do an episode on them than this damn movie.
So where does this happen next? So I believe this is the scene.
She gets in there with the keys that Friar Tuck stole. She takes the documents. They don't show her leaving, but I guess she does. Robin knows she's in there, and then he throws Friar Tuck under the bus.
Yeah.
He throws Friar Tuck under the fire truck.
Which is for a good reason, but he could have gotten his friend killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Straight up.
He did
almost
not know.
does.
Yeah, he did not know it was going to work out
In
that
any
way.
other universe, that man would be dead now. Let's all agree that Robin Hood acted terribly in that scene.
Yeah.
It's like, how long have you known me? And he's like, do you trust me with your life, right? Then he just throws him in there.
I don't trust anybody with my life. I don't. Certainly not the two of you after you made me watch this shit. I'll never trust you again.
It's a good plan, though, because, I mean, it works. It's generic,
does work for
but it does
Robin's
work.
plan. It has almost shit all over Tuck and Marion's plan, which kind of pissed me off a little bit because I was like, Robin doesn't know what they're up to.
Yeah, I mean, she already got the documents, so I guess according to the script, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like, if you're writing the story, you can tell it any way you want.
Yeah.
At least that's what I tell myself about my life, you know what I'm saying?
So, I mean, the sheriff vouches for Rob, says, like, I trust him, you know, we can work with him, and then the cardinal is just really creepy towards
for
Rob.
Abraham doing the best, like, I love when he turns to Rob and he's like, welcome to the big table. It's like it's like Thanksgiving or some shit, and he doesn't have to sit at the card table anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I like that the cardinal takes away the church away from Tuck, and he's acting like he's all sad about it, and then when he's going out the door, being dragged out the door, he gives that small little smile. Another scene where it's like, this should have been funny.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Doesn't work. Yeah, he's being dragged out and he smiles really quickly because that's what he wanted the whole time, and then it's just not
to
funny.
die, but to not have a job anymore.
Yeah,
that actually sounds great for my personal life.
I mean, I don't know what he's going to do for money now.
Yeah.
That
I don't know what any of. I mean, maybe he'll just get one of those bags of money outside of his door.
Yeah.
Probably.
You know?
Yeah,
They
his
have
friend
the
will take
hood.
care of him.
You know, he's riding through the mines throwing coins at people.
Yeah.
Ride past me and huck a quarter at me and see what I do.
So this is where Rob finds out that the cardinal and the sheriff's plan is that they've been sending money to an Arabian general to pretty much join forces to overthrow the King of England.
When do they explain that? Because basically she says these are in Arabian, and then Will Scarlet blows up at her.
Yeah.
In the most shocking character turns of all. He, like, literally has a hissy fit tantrum.
Yeah, because I mean, I think he's justified because her stealing these documents, she is associated with him, and if she gets in trouble, that's on him, and his entire political career is over. I think he's justified.
Yeah, but like, what's happening in that scene? It's so badly written.
They're arguing
What's
because
happening?
we have to see couples argue in movies.
Nice. He goes from, it's like I think that scene is in the movie just so that we don't mind when Robin Hood kisses Marion later. Like, oh, Will Scarlet's mean now. Like, whatever.
Yeah, he's the dickhead boyfriend in every movie that comes into the picture, and then the woman ends up with the old boyfriend.
But he
again.
was great in the beginning of the film. You know what I mean? It was a very confusing character turn. Also, later during, like, immediately after this, the mines get, like, wrecked by the sheriff's guys, and she gets kidnapped, and he's just like, well, I gotta go to the bathroom.
And then they cut back to pretty much where the cardinal wants the sheriff to ignite fear back into the people because they're starting to have hope. They're nailing hoods into all of these different buildings and stuff. So the sheriff decides get so many hoods.
How is nobody getting caught doing that shit?
Because it doesn't matter. They have to be there for the scene. It doesn't fucking matter.
So many hoods. There are so many hoodless hoodies in this town at this point.
Right?
The hood budget for this movie was
out of control. $3 million of the $100 million budget was spent on cutting the hoods off of hoodies.
Yeah, and again, this is the part of the movie where they want you to feel like these are really, really bad people. You should feel sorry for these people because the sheriff gets his soldiers to go out, take everything that everyone owns, burn their houses down to show them that they're not the people, they're his subjects. And Ben Mendelsohn delivers this crappy dialogue really well.
And then F. Murray Abraham at the end of his little outburst goes, go with God.
It
was so bad.
God, my son, that's so dumb.
Did the attack on the mine scene remind you at all of that scene in Batman where Scarecrow unleashes onto the...
Yes.
Yeah, it felt just like that, onto the... I forget what they call it in Batman, the kind of lower income areas. There's a special name for it, but it was just that, but with more horses.
Yeah.
But even Scarecrow has a horse in that film, so...
So, when all of this is going on, Rob and John rush to the mines to try to save as many people as they can. And, they get onto this carriage where, Marion gets kidnapped by, Gisborne.
There's that horrible throwaway, happens in every bad movie line where John says, "There's too many of them, Robin." And he goes, "Oh, there's not enough of them for me."
Yeah.
And you're like, you've done nothing, man.
Yeah.
You've robbed one place, you tried to rob another place and failed, and you've worn bad outfits.
Hey, he killed like 30 people in the treasury.
Yeah.
He's a badass.
Miraculously,
he can do it.
because he wasn't under any kind of cover while that was going down. So maybe he's like a ghost. I don't know.
And please explain to me how Marion was able to knock out two soldiers
she farted.
Before she gets to
That was a
Gisborne.
fart.
Like, it's so stupid.
You don't know what she's eating in the mines.
He punches her in the face and pretty much puts her into like a box.
And she's yelling, like this random lady-sized box on his carriage. And she's yelling for Will, and he literally like backtracks into the crowd, like that Homer Simpson gif going into the grass. Like, it's so random. And then there's a high-speed carriage chase.
How bad was the fucking CGI, dude?
It was
bad.
Awful. The green screen.
Yeah.
You could, whenever it was on the actual actors, like, it was the most green screen looking green screen I've ever seen.
He is riding a horse over top of the shanty town, and it looks like the fakest thing you have ever seen. And I get very weird about animals in movies, and I wasn't even worried about those horses because I knew they were on the ground somewhere covered in, foam dots, because you could just see the whole CGI in the film, even when they do the pullbacks and show all of Nottingham, looks so fake.
It's pretty bad.
It looks like when we were little and we played like Age of Civilization on the first PC our parents ever bought for our houses. You know what I mean? Like digital and just bad. And somehow they made car chases are my favorite part of action films for the most part. And they made this attempt at a car chase with wagons so boring. How did they pull off making this so boring? So at one point somebody legit shot a missile. There was a missile. And it was so boring. I wanted it to come out of the TV and hit me.
Rob's like, "How did you know it was me?" And Marion's like,
"Because I have eyeballs."
Like, I always hate that.
Because
like,
I've slept with you. Like,
some heroes have the dumbest, like, ways to cover their faces. Like, of course, everyone knows who you are, dude.
and the worst part, too, is she pulls the, whatever is covering his lower half of his face off of his face so that he stops looking like Sub-Zero, and then they leave it off for the rest of the chase.
Oh, yeah.
Other soldiers that don't die are really close, and they know who Robin... It's so bad, you guys.
Yeah.
It is so bad.
It's I wrote he drives the cart for so long with Robin's face uncovered. How did nobody see him?
Because script.
Because this movie is a turd.
But yeah, they shoot the missile and they blow up the carriage, and John sacrifices himself like every fucking mentor does in every movie.
Yeah.
They sacrifice himself so that the student can get away and come back to finish the mission.
But they don't kill him because he's got to be there at the end, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't even touch him. I think they punch him one time and he falls down.
Yeah, they punch him like 3 times before they take him to...
It's not a good fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if I tried to defend myself.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty scrappy, but still.
And this is where we get that scene where Rob and Marion are like just hiding out, and Rob's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this without John. It was all about John. He was the one coming up with all the plans and everything. And Marion gives this, what's supposed to be a very inspiring speech, but she's like, if not you, who?
Yeah, you could do it,
If not
Marion.
now, when? And it's so wooden. It's so boring. I'm like, I feel nothing.
Yeah.
I feel nothing.
Do you know what I felt in that scene? Angry. Because they kept changing up the lights on their faces. Did anybody else notice that?
I did not notice.
didn't.
Like, I didn't notice it at first, but it was brought to my attention that there was firelight reflection on both of their faces, and then when they switched back to Robin, it was like a straight up just Rob. Whatever you call those circular lights that they use for overhead lighting and also Instagram photos. And then they would switch back to Marion and it would be firelight, and then they would switch back to Rob and it would be blue light, and then they would switch back to it was as if they both filmed the parts of the scene separately from one another.
I was too busy rolling my eyes to pay attention because this fucking dialogue is so terrible.
I wasn't even listening to the dialogue. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I was like, it was a race there at the end to get to the end of it so I didn't disappoint both of you. Which is hilarious because you both disappointed me by picking this damn film.
And we see John, he's obviously captured by the sheriff, and he's talking to the sheriff, and he's pretty much telling the sheriff to just kill him.
He's wearing like a really nice thermal.
Yeah. But the sheriff is like, I mean, killing you would only be giving you what you want because of your faith. You believe that you're going to be going off to, paradise and everything. So why would I kill you? Why would I torture you when this is only what you want?
I thought it was really interesting that they made the sheriff Little John's main enemy.
Yeah.
Because the guy that killed his son is there. Mm-hmm. He's come home from the Crusades. What's his name again?
Gisborne.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. It sounds like the part of the turkey nobody wants. Anyways, I'm sorry. Gisborne is there. Gisborne is in the mines.
That's a good point. I never thought of that.
That swung the axe, or he didn't swing the axe, but he gave the order for his son to be killed. And that dude is left alive at the end of the movie.
So he can be in the sequel, of course.
Yeah, so, obviously.
That's true.
So that Robin Hood can feel like he's not a killer. And John sees him in the mines during it and doesn't even register with him that that's the person he needs to go after.
I don't know. I guess he's thinking about the bigger picture. Because
I think it's just a badly written script.
You know what? Mm-hmm. I'm going to defend it.
Why? Just so that you can? It's just pointless. Like, nobody's listening to this for you to defend Robin Hood, I promise. Lean into it.
Because, I mean, it's like, you are just a fly on the wall, pretty much. Like, the people that I really need to get to stop all of this is to stop the sheriff and the cardinal.
I think it's just a really bad script, James. We just gotta accept it.
It is. I'm trying.
I like the idea that John is somehow that smart, but then, like, he's not the Yoda.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, it's...
That really bothered me, that the guy that, like, gave the order to kill his son and who spoke to him so terribly in the beginning of the movie is fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Marion hits him in the head, and it doesn't look like she hits that hard.
Yeah, like Brad said, I mean, yeah. Like Brad said, like, they're setting up for the sequel.
When he murdered children, like...
He had, I don't know, whatever. The next scene is Will...
I don't know, whatever.
That's how I feel about this movie.
Yeah, pretty much. That's whatever. Who gives a shit?
Move on. But did we find a plot hole? That's fine. We're going to just bury the film in it.
So Will is telling the people in the shantytown that they should all run because... the sheriff is just going to keep coming back, taking everything that they own, and Rob shows up and gives the most boring, inspirational speech I have ever fucking heard.
I wrote, this speech is atrocious. Will Scarlett's character is atrocious. God, I hate this movie.
I love Will says something like, are we supposed to be impressed? And I'm like, yes, thank you for speaking for everyone in this audience that has to watch this movie right now. Like, are we supposed to give a shit about anything you just said or the fact that you are who you are?
Or listen? Were we supposed to listen at all?
The great Lord has come from beyond high to help the small peasants. I'm like, I don't care about any of this.
Nothing. Yeah. Nothing. Oh, God, it was so bad.
And it's like Marion stands with him. It's like, we should fight. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't feel motivated about any of this.
And then she smiles at him, and that's when Will Scarlett decides he wants to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
And they shake hands.
Yeah, and you get the random black guy on the... Let's fight!
Let's fight! And it's the same random black guy. They only actually have the one random black guy outside
and they have
Jamie
one
Foxx.
Random black woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's so stupid. It's like, gotta get in those minorities.
We're gonna give them lines. They're gonna give both of them lines, though.
We can't have hashtag Robin Hood so white, guys.
He was the whitest person I've ever seen. He was a mayonnaise sandwich.
Yeah, but like you said, they shake hands, and then we get Rob, Tuck, Will, and Marion talking about what the Cardinal and the Sheriff are planning to do. This is the last of the 3 scenes that tell us what the plan really is, and this is where we find out that the Sheriff and the Cardinal have been sending weekly shipments of money to the Arabian general, which is like 10,000 pounds here, 20,000 pounds, 30,000 pounds. What we don't even know what the money is really for.
I don't even know if it's called pounds.
I mean, I
It could be
think
called
that's what they said.
doubloons in this world.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's not even important. I'm actually listening to you with rapt attention because I did not know until right now this was the plot of the film.
Yeah.
Did you know this was the plot of the film?
But the thing is, what is the money really for? We know that they're giving money to the Arabian general for them to join forces and overthrow the king, but what do they need the money itself for?
This is I knew that the whole thing was about them sending money over there, but you don't know anything else than that. You know what I mean? It's like, what are they doing again?
Yeah, like what are they
How
spending?
How is this going to hurt the king? Where is the prince?
Because I mean, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, the Cardinal is giving the English soldiers money so that they can fight the war, right? Why not just use that money and just put it together with whatever you need for the Arabian general to take over to overthrow the king?
Where's the king, and how's he going to get to him?
I don't know.
Are they using the money to build a spaceship?
Again, like this film just has so many things. It's like you're not explaining
anything. You're not explaining
anything. I don't
anything.
get it. Like,
Which sometimes is okay in movies. Not this film.
Yeah, and apparently these payments have been going on for years. So it's like, what are they saving for? That's what I want to know. Like, what are they saving this money for? Doesn't matter. Who cares? So we cut to Loxley Manor, where the new Crusades, the real Crusades, they all come together.
What? They call them that in the movie?
I think that's what Rob says, that they're the new Crusades. Not the words new Crusades, but I think he calls them the Crusades, if I'm not mistaken.
Is he referring to the people that are now in his home?
Yes.
Jesus. All right. Continue.
So we have the obligatory scene where someone says, all right, here's the plan. But you don't actually hear the plan. You see it starting to come together.
But it's
because
weird.
we gotta have another montage.
And it's another montage.
It's weird, too, because Robin goes, so here's the plan. And then it lingers on him for a full 20 seconds, then cuts away. I don't pause like that when I'm talking to people. I'm like, okay, here's the plan. You're going to go and blah, blah, blah. It's so awkward. Mm-hmm. And then it rolls right into the beginning of an Assassin's Creed video game.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. And the sheriff is talking to Gisborne, and Ben Mendelsohn
I can't.
gives the best, like, freak out moment in the film. Like, every villain has to have this stupid moment where they just yell stupid shit. He's like, I want his blood flooding the streets of Nottingham. I want rats swimming in it. I want dogs licking it.
Like, what the fuck is this? How much blood do you think is in people?
It doesn't matter because it was supposed to sound cool, I guess.
It doesn't. It's so bad. That happens and you're just sort of like... Their shit looks really advanced. They should know how much blood is in people.
So we see the plan actually start to be executed, right? We see John escapes from where he is in prison. I believe one of the soldiers gives him like this bowl, and he uses his head, he crushes the bowl, and does he use the piece of the bowl to like slit this guy's throat or something?
Slits
He
his
like
face.
slashes him and then chokes
he
him out
chokes
with
him.
with his binds on his hands.
Yeah, and then we start to see the people in their little masks going against the soldiers because
you
the
mean
sheriff.
V for Vendetta?
Yes.
Do you mean going to turn into V for Vendetta?
And it's dumb because I don't know what the point is, because Will is at the front of all of these people, and they walk up to the soldiers, and he doesn't even have his mask on. Mm-hmm. He doesn't pull it up until the last minute.
You ready, Will? You ready, Will?
Yeah.
You ready, Will? They say it like 6 times.
And it's the black guy because he's important, right?
He's a full character with no name.
That's right. He has like, we
I
have
don't
no
have
idea
any
who this
idea
guy
what
is.
his name is. I have no
Random
idea.
black guy with lines.
He doesn't even have to be random black guy 1 because he's the only one.
And I think it's Tuck. He gets like the oil right behind the soldiers, and Rob finally throws the bomb thing, and it pretty much cuts them off from the rest of the soldiers.
Is Rob there, or is he under the thing?
Did I say Rob? I meant Will.
Yeah, okay, because I was like, it doesn't matter. Continue. Who cares? Who's doing what?
Sorry, it's Will.
The movie's almost over at this point.
Because they just get to the end.
Yeah, we're just trying to get
this done.
And then Rob and Marion, they blow a hole in the floor. That's where they pretty much pull an Italian job and drop the carriage, and they start robbing it and stuff like that. And I will say, the scene where the sheriff tells the soldiers to like part the fire for him, I did think that was kind of cool.
That was pretty cool.
You guys don't understand how fire works.
They have shields, okay?
You guys don't understand how shields work.
Well, how do shields work?
All those men are dead. Like, all of those men burned to death while holding the fire bag.
They looked perfectly fine. It's like, it's not hot at all. We're
no
good.
one who made this movie knows how fire works. Like, it was such a, like, parting the Red Sea Moses moment.
Yeah.
I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah. It looks cool, though.
Yeah.
That's how desperate we got in this movie, though. We were like, oh my god, they're all on fire. This is great. Looks good. Looks good.
So the people are fighting the soldiers, and it all looks like shit. It's cheap. There's a bunch of slow-mo. Again, just a bunch of unnecessary slow-mo. We cut back to...
The editing is weird.
Yeah, really weird. Rob and Marion are in the hole.
And they decide that that's the best time to make out.
Right? Like,
that was so
Rob gets
random.
hit with an arrow, and I guess she kisses him to distract him when she pulls the arrow out, and Will tries to come to save Marion because Rob screams, Marion! Because Gisborne was coming after her.
And because he's not a terrible person.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's a good guy, and then he literally turns into Two-Face.
Yep. He drops a bomb he's holding after he gets hit over the head, and he falls into it. And they don't go into that in this particular scene, but as he's falling, you see the fire kind of engulf his face, and I was like, oh god, they're taking the Harvey Dent thing all the way to its logical conclusion and are actually making this dude Two-Face. Like, it wasn't even a surprise when he showed up later with a burnt half a face.
Yeah.
Because that is how bad this film is.
Yeah. And Rob sees all of the fighting, he sees people dying, and he's getting those flashbacks back to the war. He sees the parallels of what all of this fighting is doing, and it is all over money and power.
It takes a long time, too, the flashback to reality to flashback. It's like a really aggressively long sequence.
Yeah. I felt like it was cut together well, though, because there were some scenes, there were some flashbacks where in current day, people are falling and being dragged exactly the same way that they did during the war.
It's funny that that's what they focused on. You know, like, that's what the one scene they focused on doing a good job on.
Yeah, because, I mean, they want to show you, again, the horrors of war and what a hero is willing to do. It's much more than just shooting people with a bow and arrow. He's willing to give up his life to save these people. The movie it wants to be good, and I really don't think that anyone genuinely goes out trying to make a bad film. This just didn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
think they felt like it was really hitting on a lot of grandiose political ideals, and they just didn't make a good enough film for that. You know what I mean? Like, and I think most people know war is bad.
Yes.
You know, like, you're not really unveiling a whole new theory. Like, I've thought about it, and I also feel that war is bad.
Yeah. I mean,
I also know that you can't stop war by standing on a car and screaming stop.
All of this is happening because of him.
But they would have continued to hit the other people on the ground. You know what I mean? Like,
agreed.
But he literally gets up there and yells, "Stop it! I'm right here! Stop it!" And every single bad guy comes and gets him, and all the other people just sit there like, "Well, I guess this is done. I'm not going to smoke a cigarette and get a latte." It just it's so stupid.
Yeah. So the soldiers drag Rob to see the sheriff, and they have that entire exchange, and this is when we realize that John was disguising himself as one of the soldiers, saves Rob, and hangs the sheriff. And it should have been this really cool emotional scene, but the score itself it's trying to be upbeat during this dramatic moment of revenge.
It's weird. And also, they use an arrow, so like they tie a rope around the sheriff's neck, and the rope is tied to something that's anchoring it, and they use an arrow to shoot through the rope, which leads to the sheriff being hung. And if you're confused, I'm sorry, that's the actual movie. They will not use a sword in this film.
Yeah.
They will. Nobody has a pocket knife.
Rob does use a pocket knife. He does. During the treasury scene, he also kind of does the same thing. He has to cut a rope in order for the rope to pull him up away
which
from
you've
him.
seen in every action movie you've ever watched since you were born. It's like, Robin Hood is a great archer. He is. But he's also a great fighter. And being a great fighter means you can use multiple different weapons.
Yeah. But I guess...
Not this one, though.
I don't know. No guns, no killing. So there's no swords. I mean, he kills a lot of people.
He kills a lot of people.
This is more like Dawn of Justice Batman.
Yeah. So Rob meets up with the rest of the people, and they're putting the money on horses. They're, trying to... I don't know where they're going.
I don't either.
Tuck introduces himself to John, and we have that same callback from the beginning where Tuck just says, I'll just use the translation of your name, John.
Yeah, because God forbid I try to learn my new friend's real name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a really weird cut, because as soon as that happens, we cut immediately to Will and the Cardinal. I feel like the film was trying to wrap up.
Before we get another narration where it's like,
right,
the perfect ending, right? Like, and they're like, but no, there's more.
I'm impressed that you got the exact British accent down that they use in this film, because that's 100% what it sounds like.
And the Cardinal is telling Will that he wants him to, because he's the voice of the people, it would be good for him to be, the new sheriff, and how, the church will be eternally grateful. And Will takes the job, and he becomes generic villain 65.
Did they just put strawberry jam on the left side of his face?
That's what it looks like, right?
It was ridiculous, you guys.
His ear was a little mangled, but other than that,
and he had like
fine.
a weird droopy
hound
eyebrow.
eye.
Yeah, I don't know what you just said is, but yes.
Well, the Hound from Game of Thrones.
Yes. They basically look like that, and then they just put some Smuckers on the left side of his face.
Pretty much.
How do you have $100 million budget and you can't do burn makeup correctly? I've got 6 friends that do makeup that I've seen do better burn makeup than that. I don't want to talk about
they
why they
spent it on the costumes.
Yeah.
All of that money they spent it on the
costumes and Jamie Foxx. That's where the money went.
Did you guys know that the original set that they worked on for like 85% burned down? And they had to spend the money to rebuild it. So they shot in Czechoslovakia, and then the last 15% of the movie was filmed in Paris on newly built scripts.
Oh, wow.
Sets. So a lot of money when it, I feel like this film probably went $30 million over estimated budget just because of that.
Damn. That's
They should have left it burnt.
They should have just said, okay, this is a sign from God. We are not supposed to finish this movie.
Whatever they had shot up until that moment, they could have finished the rest of it in the parking lot of a Holiday Inn, and it would have been the exact same film.
No one would have cared.
No one would have noticed.
So I didn't even write down what he was saying, but it's some stupid generic dialogue that we need to stop the hood, yada yada yada. He holds up a wanted poster of the hood, and Rob shoots an arrow at it, and he's like, welcome to the big table. And then it ends just like a comic book where it just shows you like panels, and it's trying to be cool and upbeat. I'm like, you fucking suck, and I'm glad this is over.
Yeah.
I loved too, like you said, that they left it open for a sequel.
Yeah, like what producers saw this movie and they were like, oh yes, we have got a cash cow on our hands, boys.
This is it, guys. This is the next big trilogy.
Exactly.
No one. So I love reading reviews on IMDb. I think it's like an actual pastime of me. Everybody needs 15 minutes in a day where they just zone out, and I do that. This movie, as I watched it, I kept thinking, man, I want to walk out of this film. I want to go upstairs. I want to but I have to watch it, right? We have to finish it. I owe it to my friends to finish this film. There were like 6 reviews in a row on IMDb that all started with, I walked out of this film in the theater. Or one of them was like, this is on a list of 3 movies I've walked out of. This is on a list of 4 movies I've walked out of. Like, people were across the board just like, I walked out of this. I don't know how it ends. I don't care. You shouldn't watch it.
I mean, you know how it ends. It ends like every other fucking action movie that wants to set up for a sequel.
And every Robin Hood movie.
Yeah, like, I was just so bored with it. And honestly, when the credits rolled the first time I saw it, I kind of just sat there and I'm like, well, that happened. That was a waste of 2 hours of my time.
I felt so
and
free.
It's 2 hours long.
Yeah,
too. Like,
it's
it doesn't
long.
need to be 2 hours long.
Yeah, it could have been 90 minutes and it would have been fine.
I texted you guys, 7 minutes into the film?
Yep.
Yeah.
And said, I hate this film. And then I checked and I was like, oh shit, I'm 7 minutes into this film.
I can't remember the last time I hit the B button on my Xbox controller to bring up the little bar that shows me how long I'm into the movie. Like, as many times as I did whenever I was watching
I
this.
feel that pain because I did this. I kept pausing it and be like, okay, 45 minutes. And I'd look at my dog who's sound asleep and I'd be like, oh God, he has to pee. I better go. I just, the balls on these guys for making this film. You know what I mean? The idea, and I think this goes back into this belief that you can feed your audiences anything and they'll love it. And I don't love it, and I'm upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just felt like, okay, we'll just give them more of the same and everything will be okay.
Yeah. And maybe they thought they were being cool with the costumes. The costumes don't work. The costumes don't make sense. You have to, if you're going to build costumes that don't fit the period that you're in, that's fine. I've seen it done before, and I've seen it done really well. But there has to be a theme to it.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be something that links it all together.
And I really can't tell you what that is.
And it can't be the Hunger Games.
It
cannot be that you read the Hunger Games and that you think the Capitol is cool. Because I don't know if either one of you guys have ever read the Hunger Games or seen the Hunger Games, but the outfits at the Cardinals, they are like probably leftovers from the movie The Hunger Games that nobody wanted to wear.
I would not be surprised
because they
at
were
all.
too ugly. The hat situation, I'm still mad about these hats. Women don't wake up and go, you know what I want to wear on my head? I want to wear 4 Kentucky Derby hats at once.
You don't?
I'm not even wearing a hat currently. I have one floppy hat. It's very hipster. It's nice. I wear it when I'm walking in flower fields for pictures for the gram. Some of the hats they had on these women looked like they were about to break their necks. The movie's terrible. I'm angry you guys made me watch it. I'm picking the next one.
Okay.
We're going to watch Sweet November starring Keanu Reeves. I want all of you to go, no, I'm playing. Don't watch that movie.
If we do that, we have to review the Lake House.
No.
Oh,
To do
yes.
the Lake House.
I refuse. I want to do Ghost Rider 2.
I'm not gonna lie. I think Spirit of Vengeance is a really fun movie.
I do
I'm not
too.
gonna lie.
And that's the thing too. It's like some of these, you'll see a movie and it's terrible, but that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. This film is neither enjoyable
Exactly.
nor good, and that's the problem with it. There's no joy in it. The actors don't seem happy with what they're having to do. It's just sad and pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brad, let me get your final thoughts on Robin Hood.
My final thoughts are fuck this movie. I completely agree that it's not so terrible that you're like having fun with it and making fun of it the whole time. Like, yeah, there were some things that were some real head scratchers in it, and this just didn't really make sense. And it was just annoying overall, I think. It's just an annoying movie because
you just feel mad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an upsetting experience.
Yeah. Lola, do you have any more final thoughts?
No, I want this to end.
I think the film it feels like a movie that was 3 hours long, and then some studio exec was like, well, I want to keep the story the same, but we need to get it under 2 hours. Can you do that? And they went into the editing room and they cut it to shit to 1 hour and 56 minutes. And it's just a boring, generic ripoff, medieval ripoff of Batman and The Dark Knight. Batman Begins and The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
So you just watch The Dark Knight and you're fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just watch The Dark Knight and you will see a version of this just better.
Exactly.
Those are my final thoughts
Infinitely
on
better.
Robin Hood.
Like they're not even in the same league.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's just hit the button that makes this stop.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I miss doing really, really terrible movies.
Yeah,
I think
this
we
is
need
my
to
favorite.
do more stuff like this. Guys, please look out for our new podcast. It is called Best One, Worst One, where we take your favorite actors, directors, and we talk about their best movie and their worst movie, or their best performances and their worst performances, because those can be different. Our first episode was on Keanu Reeves, and our second episode is going to be on Nicolas Cage. So head on over to patreon.com/C4spoilers, and that podcast is going to be available on the $3 tier. At that tier, you also get all episodes of the Careful for Spoilers podcast a week earlier than everyone else on iTunes and Spotify. So for Lola, Brad, and myself, we will see you guys next time.